Hi. Most of the time, a big question is before most people, most thinking people is whether or not God exists. Well, this is a very tough question to answer, and if we check it out, we will notice that even in historic days, even among the Greek philosophers and many others out thereafter, this question was a Gordian knot. So many agreed, or at least meant to support the view that there is God. And equally importantly, a large number also believed that there is not that there is no God. God doesn't exist. Humans are the supreme. Well, it all depends on how you look at the whole issue. I have a very interesting story from my own, past life about this question of is there a God or no God? Well, I was a secretary of the Kerala University Teachers Association before I went to the United States for higher studies, as well as when I came back after the higher studies. For several reasons, uh, this title was conferred on me because of my special nature or because of my colleagues saw me as a very energetic man, energetic person, energetic mind, coming up with very strange or new ideas. So I had struck sort of relationships, friendship, professional relationship with all the teachers, university, college teachers associations in Kerala. The college teachers, by the sheer number, were the largest, and of course, the university teachers those days in the 70s, late 70s, were minuscule because we had only 3 universities in Kerala. One is the University of Kerala at Karivuttam campus, the other is the Calicut University, and then latest is the CUSAT. So we had several problems related to our service. What is service? The paycheck you get. That is most important of all for anyone. And even those days, Kerala was a state, and as it is now, without having enough money, enough resources, only a lot of talk about this, that, and so on and so forth, but no revenue at the end of the year. It is always the budget was always in a red. So one of the things we just wanted was our pay to be enhanced to that of the UGC level, UGC prescribed pay scale. And this did not happen at all. Right from the 1968, yes, the pay scales were at par with the UGC prescriptions. But after 5 years, when UGC revised this pay, and we were excluded. In other words, the state government has to pick up a certain percent, 25 or 35%, after the first 5 years of fully meeting the expenditure from a UGC grant. However, this was not the case. This kind of facility was not automatically extended to the teachers in colleges. So, because of their clout, because of their political influence, the college teachers sort of I should say, were against unilaterally granting the pay to the teachers in the universities. So those days I thought one of the best things for a smaller number of people like us in the university is to join hands with the college and teachers both in the government sector as well as in the private sector, and then sort of what you call as bargain with the government. And the politicians, of course, they run the government. And the politicians, as far as they are concerned, the college teachers and university teachers form only a minority. And they always say, look, so many people are going without food and you are already having plenty of money. Every monthly salary government is paying. Well, you should keep quiet. But there is a appropriate time we will consider. Political comment, political remark. Politicians will never say no, unlike these days, because they want to come back to power again. So anyway, this particular situation had given me a special opportunity to be in very close contact with the leadership of the college teachers, both government as well as private. And these are the people who actually control the university administration as it is today. Those days, the only difference I shall say is those people who at least had some kind of personal liking for better education, delivery of better education, scholarships to the students. In other words, those teachers were politicians as well as more committed to the benefit of the ultimate beneficiary, the student community of the state and their future. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Does not, I might say so. That does not happen today. Here, only agenda is the politics, political ideology. Well, of course, it is. What else they can do? They are paid a salary or benefits or credentials to maintain this, to fight for this so-called their right in the administration of the university. Anyway, I knew several of these stalwarts, like for example, starting from north, late Professor R.R.C. Nair, a very smart teacher, very smart organizer, and very high, placed very high at the All Kerala Private College Teachers Association's policy making bodies. Then, there is another gentleman by name Professor C. Skaria. He is from the SB College, Changanasheri. Sir was also a very nice person, very scholarly, and also committed to the rights of, upholding the rights of the teachers, as well as, a stalwart non-communist, unlike R.R.C. Nair. Then we have another K.C. Chako. K.C. Chako is also from Kottayam. Chako sir was a very decent man, but he was a stalwart communist and a good professor, no doubt about it. Then now you come down to Karunapalli East, then we have this gentleman Ramachandran Pillai, who is now ex-PB member and safely living in Delhi under the full care of the Marxist Party. Then, of course, Nizamuddin came from the engineering stream. Nizamuddin represented the managers' constituency those days in the Syndicate. And then, of course, in Thiruvananthapuram, we have Narayanan Nair, Dr. Narayanan Nair, late, and he owned, and the trust he created, even today owns the Law Academy in Thiruvananthapuram. And there are others who are by by the virtue of their positions in the government, also members of this, what is called a syndicate. But anyway, the syndicate actually is piloted. Any proposal going to syndicate will be very interestingly piloted toward the direction of the members who are not, generally speaking, from the government nominee list. So the point here is how God is connected to this. There was in 1977 or so, toward the end, I was competing or contesting for a position of a reader in the Department of Geology, along with Professor Raju Philip, who lives here in Thiruvananthapuram in Koravankonam area. And there was only one post of a reader. And Professor Philip was a candidate, I too was a candidate. The committee ranked both of us, Professor Philip as one and me as two, in the what is called the selection after the interview and selection. Professor V.K. Sukumaran was sitting in the what is called the Vice Chancellor's chair. And then it was not only one person, one reader's job in geology department. There was something like 28 or so different positions in the various departments of the university. So there was a tricky situation, at least geology is concerned. The Professor Philip was to be promoted as a reader in the month of, in a Senate meeting, annual budgetary meeting in 1978, February, when the Senate meets for passing the what is called a budget. And the interview, whole batch of interview was over by January that year. And of course, obviously, like now there is what is called a pressure from various quarters on the university's vice chancellor or a registrar to make the appointments. And if the appointments are made, and Thrivikramji will be out and Professor Philip will be in as reader, and I will have to wait for another 5 years. On the other hand, through another channel, Professor Philip was getting ready or cleared by the syndicate to be appointed as reader. But after the Senate meeting only, the Senate will have to approve the appointment as reader. So I was in a dilemma. In other words, what do I do? I will have to sort of garner opinion and support for me, for my securely getting the reader's job. So I was worried actually, obviously, because otherwise I had to wait until 83 or 84 to be a reader. So then I had a good friend and the president of the association, Kerala University Teachers Association, Professor Sita Raman. And we were very close to each other, even though he is a senior man, because I was the secretary of the association and he was the president. We frequently met every week and exchanged ideas concerning us teachers as a community, teachers in the university as a community, and what can be done, etc. So one evening when we met, when my issue was, and there was what you call it, the crescendo, because there is a huge pressure for the appointment of others as readers and professors, and I am trying my level best not to make the appointments happen prior to the meeting of the Senate of the university budget session in 1978 February. So this gentleman, Sitharaman, asked me. Sitharaman lives somewhere, I guess, in the United States. He used to be here at the University of Kerala. He asked me, Vikramji, do you believe in God? I said, yes, sir. I was born in India. And like naturally, most Indians, we believe in, and I too believe in God. Okay. Then he gave an anecdote. This gentleman was on study leave to Math Science Institute in Chennai for a PhD for some good or bad reason. Finally, ultimately, Sridhar Raman fell apart with his supervising teacher, and the supervising teacher did not refuse to approve his thesis. He did not read. He said, okay, good, fine. On the margins he wrote in the draft Sita Raman submitted. Sita Raman knew very well there could be some errors, mistakes, which might end up the thesis being returned. Then Sita Raman was in dire straits. And he was in Madras, or now as it is called Chennai, those days. And Sitaraman sir took a full set of the first draft over to the what is called the Shankaracharya, Chandrasekhara Saraswati of Kanchi, Kamakodi, Freedom, whatever you call, whatever it is known now as. And there Sitaraman waited for his turn. And this great godly man asked Sitaraman what was his problem. When Sitaraman's turn came to see at close quarters, then he gave the copy of the thesis that he had carried. And this holy saint went through the several pages, this way, that way, front to back, back to front, etc. And finally took certain pages, certain number of pages, and clapped it between his fingers, and held it between his fingers, and told Sitaraman, check it again. And Sitaraman very carefully looked at those pages and then went home to his hostel in Madras, checked it, and he discovered some strange mistakes which he would not himself would have committed. And these mistakes, Sitaraman knew how to correct himself. But the supervising teacher never cared. He said, it's good, okay, only compliments. And then after fixing it, Sitaraman took this back to Chandrasekhara Saraswati Swami, and then waited for his turn. Swamiji called him in, and then flipped through the pages and then said, okay, congratulations, or something like that. So Sitaraman submitted it, finalized the thesis, submitted to the Math Science Institute, and won a PhD. This was a story. So Sitaraman asked, my question to me was, are you God-fearing? I said, yes. Then what you do is, you keep in your mind, you make a vow that you will do so and so things, whatever you feel like, to your most loved, affectionate God. Then immediately what came to my mind was Paravangadi Ganavati Bhagavan. And then I said, sir, this evening I will go and make an offering of 100 coconuts, and once my issue is resolved in my favor, I will break another or offer another 400 coconuts to that Ganavati Bhagavan. Well, Sitaraman said, whichever way you like. Only thing is, if you believe it, you do it. And then, of course, for that reason, don't sit quiet. You do whatever else you can. So I did all kinds of field work, mustered all kinds of cooperation from the entire syndicate, members of the syndicate. Entire in the sense, the most powerful people were asking me, or rather, I asked them to support me. How do they support me? In making a decision that no appointment, etc., will be done in the meeting of the what is called the syndicate. and until the Senate is over. That was done, very coolly done. And I won, Professor Philip won, and of course there was a lot of blame. So I went back to the temple and did what is called the completed the making the offer